The wind howled through the gnarled branches of the trees, carrying a chill that seeped into every corner of the small town of Eldridge. It was a cold October night, the kind that wrapped around you like a damp blanket, stirring unease deep in your bones. The moon hung low in the sky, casting eerie shadows that danced along the cracked pavement. The townsfolk had long since shuttered their windows, retreating into the warmth of their homes, but not everyone was safe. Emily had just moved to Eldridge, seeking a fresh start after a messy breakup. She rented a quaint old cottage on the edge of town, surrounded by towering pines that stood like silent sentinels. The cottage creaked and groaned as the wind rattled the windows, but Emily found comfort in its solitude. She lit a fire in the hearth, the flames flickering and casting long shadows across the walls. As she settled into her new life, strange things began to happen. At first, it was just the sounds. Whispers echoed through the halls at night, soft and unintelligible. Sometimes she thought she saw a figure in the corner of her eye, only to turn and find nothing there. She brushed it off as her imagination, but unease lingered like a shadow creeping closer each night. One evening, while exploring the town, Emily stumbled upon a small, dusty bookstore. The owner, an elderly man with a weathered face and kind eyes, noticed her interest in a particular tome. It was titled The Haunting of Eldridge. Intrigued, she purchased it and hurried home, eager to dive into the stories within. That night, as the wind howled outside, Emily opened the book. The pages were filled with tales of the town's dark past, stories of disappearances, strange rituals, and the restless spirit that roamed the woods. The legend spoke of a woman named Margaret who had vanished on a cold October night many years ago. They said she still wandered the forest, searching for something she had lost. As Emily read, she felt a chill creep up her spine. The stories were unsettling, but she couldn't resist the pull of the narrative. She read late into the night, the fire crackling softly beside her, the shadows growing longer and darker. A few nights later, Emily decided to take a walk in the woods behind her cottage. The moonlight filtered through the branches, casting an otherworldly glow on the path ahead. As she ventured deeper into the forest, the air grew colder, and the whispers from her cottage seemed to follow her. Suddenly she heard a rustling in the bushes. Heart racing, she turned to see a figure darting between the trees. "Hello?" she called, her voice trembling. There was no response, only the sound of the wind. She hesitated, then continued walking, but the feeling of being watched lingered. Uh, 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 One article caught her eye: Margaret's disappearance to mystery unsolved. It detailed the night she vanished, describing how she was last seen near the old willow tree in the woods. The townspeople had searched for her, but she was never found. After Emily returned to the woods, drawn to the willow tree, the air was thick with tension, and the moon hung low, illuminating the path ahead. As she approached the tree, she felt a sudden drop in temperature. The whispers grew louder, swirling around her like a storm. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice trembling. The wind howled in response, and suddenly a figure emerged from the shadows. The figure was a woman, her face pale and her eyes hollow. "Help me," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. Emily's heart raced as she took a step back. "Margaret?" she asked, her voice shaking. The woman nodded, her expression filled with sorrow. "I am lost. I cannot find my way home." "What?" The truth lies beneath the old willow. Without thinking, Emily followed the spirit's lead. They walked deeper into the woods, the air growing heavier with each step. The trees loomed above them, their branches twisting like skeletal fingers. Finally, they reached a clearing. In the center stood the old willow, its gnarled roots twisting into the earth. "Dig," Margaret urged, her voice echoing in the stillness. With trembling hands, Emily began to dig, the cold earth giving way beneath her fingers. The whispers grew louder, swirling around her like a tempest. Suddenly, her fingers struck something hard. She brushed away the dirt to reveal a small, weathered box. Heart pounding, she opened the box to find a locket, tarnished and old. Inside was a picture of a man and woman, their smiles frozen in time. "This is it," Margaret said, her voice filled with longing. "I need to find him." "Who is he?" Emily asked, her curiosity piqued. "The man I love," Margaret replied, tears glistening in her eyes. "He was taken from me, and I have been searching ever since." As Emily held the locket, she felt a surge of energy. The whispers grew louder, swirling around her in a frenzy. "You must help me reunite with him," Margaret pleaded. Determined to help, Emily agreed. Margaret guided her to gather from the forest, flowers, stones, and twigs. Together, they arranged them in a circle beneath the willow tree. The air crackled with energy as Emily began to chant the words Margaret had taught her. As she spoke, the wind howled and the ground trembled. Shadows danced around them, swirling like a dark mist. Suddenly, a bright light erupted from the center of the circle, illuminating the clearing. Emily shielded her eyes, feeling an overwhelming presence. In the light, she saw the figure of a man, his face familiar yet distant. "Margaret," he called, his voice echoing through the night. The two figures reached for each other, their hands almost touching. But just as they were about to embrace, the light flickered and the shadows closed in. "Stop!" Emily shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. "You can't take her." The shadows hesitated, swirling around her like a storm. "She belongs to us," a voice hissed from the darkness. "She chose to remain." "No," Emily cried, feeling a surge of determination. "She deserves to be free." Okay. Thank you, Margaret whispered, her voice soft yet strong. You have set me free. In a flash of light, the shadows dissipated and the clearing fell silent. Emily stood alone beneath the willow tree, the locket still clutched in her hand. The air felt different now, lighter somehow, as if a weight had been lifted. One as she made her way back to the cottage, the wind had died down and the moon shone brightly overhead. Then the whispers had ceased, replaced by a peaceful stillness. Emily felt a sense of closure, as if she had not only helped Margaret but had also found a piece of herself in the process. The next morning she awoke to the sun streaming through her window. It was a new day, a fresh start. She decided to leave the locket at the old willow tree, a symbol of the bond she had formed with Margaret. As she walked through the woods one last time, she felt a warmth in the air, a gentle breeze that seemed to carry a whisper of gratitude. She placed the locket at the base of the willow and took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past lift from her shoulders. In the weeks that followed, Emily settled into her new life in Eldridge. The town felt different now, the shadows no longer looming over her. She made friends, joined community events, and even started a small garden outside her cottage. But on cold October nights, when the wind howled and the trees creaked, she sometimes felt a familiar presence. It was as if Margaret was still watching over her, a guardian spirit guiding her through life. Of one night, as she sat by the fire, she picked up the book about the haunting. Flipping through the pages, she noticed something strange. In the margins, there were new notes written in a delicate script, words of thanks and love. A chill ran down her spine, but this time it was a comforting feeling. As she closed the book, she smiled, knowing that she had helped a lost soul find peace. The cold October nights would always hold a certain magic, a reminder of the bond between the living and the dead. And in that bond, Emily found her own strength. Years passed, and Emily became a part of Eldridge history. She shared the story of Margaret with anyone who would listen, ensuring that the legend lived on. The townsfolk began to visit the old willow tree, leaving flowers and tokens of remembrance. As the leaves turned crimson and gold, Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. The cold October nights would forever be a reminder of the night she helped a lost spirit find her way home. And in that moment of reflection, she knew that some stories never truly end, they simply transform into something new, lingering in the hearts of those who remember.